Hey everybody, yeah, so this is a requested video. People have been asking about how I edit my videos, and yeah, I've done some stuff on Patreon, like breaking some stuff down, but I figured it's time to do something public for y'all. Y'all. As you can see, the first thing is the opening explosive. What you see here is, where you see loop reduce noise, that is the middle sequence in the middle here. Here is the top section. If we work one stage backwards, you'll see that this is compiled of 3 different sections within that top row. And firstly, we have the light yellow section. Yeah, I've been interested in the idea of getting away from the boxes and finding creative ways to kind of utilize other patterns. I've seen other YouTubers do it. I really like it, and I thought, you know what, I could take this and make my own thing. So I don't know how other people do it. This might not be the best method, but for me, I use the graduated mask effect from the effects rack. Here, you can change the angle of it. See that right there? So I just find the angle I want, and then I basically just fill in the numbers according to the angles and the positions that I want. This one I was able to do on the on another compound clip of the light yellow section. So if I go into this, you can see that the original has no graduated mask on. It's just the boxes, and you can see where I've roughly placed them so that when the lines show up, it has this smooth line going down on either side. Okay, so that wraps up the light yellow. Moving on, we have the mid yellow. Now with this, I decided to edit them individually. So we've gone from the mid yellow compound clip, and we've opened that up to show the individual 2 clips, graduated mask. As you notice, the numbers are pretty similar across the board, because the line you see in the middle is now the inverse of the line that was on the outside of the light yellow. So all I have to do is go from negative, what I believe, to positive on the x-axis for the target. All right, and then, put them all together. CPU goes a bit crazy. As you can see, the orange bar at the top here is the rendering, because Final Cut seems to render every single minute thing you change. It drives me mad, but in the end, I'm grateful for it, because if there's a crash, everything that I've done is saved pretty much up until the last thing. So yeah, and I get a lot of crashes, so I'm very grateful. Anyway, that makes the top. As you can see, if I go to the bottom, it's the same old story. Same old thing. Light yellow bottom, except now everything is the same. It's the graduated mask is the same, but now the numbers are inverted, basically. As you can see, the actual line across the top is very jaggedy and rough, because I know that when I compound these 3 different clips of the mid yellow, orange, mid yellow, and light yellow, I can then just level it off with this amazing plugin that I absolutely adore, the crop and feather, which allows me to, as you can see, wait, okay, that's the wrong one. So it just allows me, as you can see, it just allows me to smooth out those edges, create a nice little fade. Because I like to kind of have like shade in my videos. I like the idea of having like this kind of artistic kind of blending of whatever color. I don't know, it just makes it less jaggedy, and it's something that I haven't seen people do. I quite like it. Some people might not, but to each their own. I'm all cool with that. So yeah, there we go. Boom. My next thing I want to break down for you is what I like to call the box explosion. Okay, so it's actually much easier than it may look, and it's much less CPU demanding than it also looks, because I don't do them in one session. If I was to mute the inner squares for each bit, then it becomes very clear that each one of these is just a bounce down of the previous layout. So I start with this one, and then for the next one, I will zoom it down to the next level. Now, I don't really know the math behind this. A lot of this is trial and error, but I've kind of built up like just a rough kind of understanding of how much to shrink the previous video in order for me to add the next layer around that video. So for this one, I had to shrink it by 1/3, so it's now 2/3 the size of what it was before. Not really a math guy, but you know, I learn what I have to get the job done. And then I add the next layer. And that then gets, they both get zoomed out. To the next layer again, which was, oh, it's very, very strange. So now it's 50%, so square 1 is now 50% the size it used to be. Square 2 is now 3/4 the size, and then at that point I'm able to add the next square. And just when you thought, really, another set? Well, here we go. Okay, so then I do the same again for the next square. So now square 1, I think I had it at 40%. Square 2, 60. This one, 80. Great. My math is complete. And then I can add the next square. I'll talk about like the zooming and stuff, because basically, in order to create that effect, there's this plugin called, if you go into crop, I don't know why it's called Ken Burns. If someone could explain the reference, that would be cool. But it's basically a zoom function. So in this, I'm going to explain how to do that. So basically, I set up my positioning of the videos, and then I compound that clip, and then apply the Ken Burns effect, and then position it so that, oh, come on. There we go. So as you can see, the start is the green, the red is the end. So I have the start, and oh, it doesn't show it here. So by the end, you see it cuts off the percussion video, and as you can see, it slowly disappears. And then we then reach the next part where it syncs up into the choreoed backings showing up. Now, again, that's just trial and error. Like with the Ken Burns zoom, it's really tricky. There's no again, if someone knows something I don't, there's no like way to like definitively know where you're zooming to. So I just had to trial and error it until and match the next set of videos, which are now static, which, you know, this next set of videos doesn't have the percussion video underneath it anymore. All the videos you see here are all the videos you see here. There's no hidden videos at this point. So in order to match the zoomed in version of the previous section with the normal version of this section with the added choreo videos is guesswork. I just had to, and then, okay, I have the impression that a lot of you may be thinking I'm green screening. I'll show you where I have green screened in this video, and you can tell because my hair looks awful, which is why I don't green screen unless it's like in this situation for an effect that I really want to, you know, use. Okay, so this is the raw video. So I have a black background, In this instance, I'm wearing a black t-shirt, which heightens that kind of like ambiguous, where am I in this, where are the actual boxes? I can't see them. So yeah, these are the boxes, that the hidden boxes. There's me dancing away, having fun. I love doing the choreo, it's so much fun. Yeah, so there's that. Looks pretty dry, really uninteresting. So the magic is here. As you can see, this is exposure. So if I reset the exposure, that's what it looks like. I don't know what each of these represent. I feel like I could try and compare it to like audio mixing, because that's where I tend to live. So it's like, this is like the mids, the high mids. This is like the 16,000 hiss. This is like bass or something, I don't know. So I want to get rid of as much glare as possible. So bam. I then want to kind of reduce hiss. You can already see it's starting to look pretty fantastic. And then I just want to get rid of some of that bass. I just want to get rid of some of that extra. So now, because this last one is the one that controls like where the barriers are. So I can take it right down to the bottom. But I need it just, when I balance all three of them just right, I get this really nice black background, and it looks natural. It doesn't look fake. And I think it's worth the effort. Finally, with this section, I have like a little thing where the lead switches, and then it's a lead with 4 BVs singing the Have Faith. So basically, I take the lead, and then I take the grouping, the lead and the backings, I then compound them. This is more tricky, but for the sake of explanation, I'll just keep it really simple. So I've shrunk them down by 50%, in this case a little bit more because it's not true 100%. And then I position them to where they want to go. So I want to go from the lead is going up and then being replaced by the other lead and BVs. So I get back to the main window, go to the compounded clip, and then position the squares. So instead, I'm basically using the zoom function, but having both of the zooms the same size, but in different places. So I take the start position, which is my lead, and I want it to drop down to the lead and BVs at the end. So, I don't know, usually again, I can frame this by, say if this is like the 100%, I can get the 50 or whatever, 50% by matching it to, because there's no grid, annoyingly. If there is one and I haven't found it, then please do tell me. So I get a rough kind of grid there. Use the guideline of that one to position the next one, and then, you know, put them wherever I want. I can have them zoom there, I can have them zoom there, I can have them blah, 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 everywhere. So yeah, thank you for watching the video to the end, and I hope you learned something, or at the very least enjoyed it, or were inspired by it in some way. A lot of this is just self-taught, learning on the job kind of experience for me. So yeah, yeah. Thank you. Take care.